Number 5. Alright, top 5. So, after discussing an excellent flagship who's waiting for his grand return, how about we talk about a flagship whose prominence and prestige has kept growing and growing, entry by entry, title by title, becoming one of the single most prominent monsters in the entire franchise. Zinogre was not necessarily destined for greatness. He is the flagship of Monster Hunter Portable 3rd, one of the last Monster Hunter games to never see a Western release. And he didn't come over to the West until Tri-Ultimate, which absorbed most of Portable 3rd's content. Kinda like Kushala, everybody knows he was a flagship, but the wider world never got to fully experience his time in the sun. Or Rainstorm might actually be more accurate. And yet, Zinogre is a big deal over here. People adore him, and the developers absolutely do as well. This Thunderwolf is absolutely a teacher's pet. Think about it. Tri-Ultimate may not have been his game, but not only was he a huge success within it, but he got one of the single coolest subspecies ever created in Stygian Zinogre added in Tri-Ultimate. He found his way into the incredibly exclusive Frenzied Apex Monster Club in 4 Ultimates, and got this fantastic cutscene showcasing the danger of the Frenzy virus. We saw the upper limits of his species' potential power in Generations, with the Thunderlord Zinogre. He was given one of the most badass entrances and Elder Dragon level stats and fighting capabilities in Iceborne, and he got to be king of the Rampage Apex monsters in Rise, who then got to face down his ancient enemy in one of the game's final battles. Time after time, the developers bet on this horse, and time after time, game after game, it pays dividends. Ever since his inception, Monster Hunter as a franchise has been in love with the lupine of lightning, and it cannot help but remind us of this love with Zinogre's consistent appearances within the games. Zinogre is imposing, fascinating, ferocious, complex, storied, cunning, and undeniably cool. I talked about how he works in his own breakdown video, but to keep things simple, he is a complex machine that operates in sync with a colony of electricity-generating insects to transform himself from a competent hunter into a war machine that any monster in their right mind would fear. And these insectoid allies he fights alongside are intriguing for more reasons than simply amplifying his powers. They are one of the coolest vehicles through which monster variations are created. When they are more powerful, Zinogre is more powerful. When they are mutated, Zinogre is mutated. Stimuli, such as alterations in the Thunderbug's diet due to changes in the Zinogre's habitat, can result in drastic mutations. Increases in a Zinogre and his Thunderbug's power can result in bodily changes and the application of new electrical abilities. The very nature of Zinogre's biology grants him variations more fascinating than the vast majority of other monsters could ever achieve. And unlike a lot of the other old classic monsters, who can sometimes struggle to stay ahead of the curve as these games grow and change, Zinogre started out ahead of the game and has maintained a feeling of freshness throughout his entire tenure. His long and complex assortment of combos and his ever-growing roster of lightning attacks has made it so that every time he appears, his fight has something new to offer and surprise us with. And although he hails from the era before Monster Hunter stories became particularly prominent, his role within Portable 3rd's narrative was pretty cool. In that game, Zinogre is effectively an invasive species, once isolated and out of the way, now driven towards civilization due to the cataclysmic storm powers of the Elder Dragon Amatsu. This puts Zinogre in a position where they more or less have to be hunted for the good of the people nearby. It paints Zinogre as an unfortunate victim of circumstance and does a good job of setting up Amatsu as the game's villain. Oh, and let's not forget, whereas Brachydios rolled in after the Brute Wyverns were established, Tigrex, Nargacuga, and Kushala served to reinvent the Flying Wyverns and Elder Dragons, and Legaigris helmed the Leviathans, but certainly wasn't the first one to be fought. Zinogre is indisputably the father of the Fanged Wyvern category. I mean, he was the only one in existence for 7 years, 8 years? It took him a little bit to get going, but the Fanged Wyverns are proving to be one of the most diverse and multifaceted monster categories there is. Today, there are about 10 different unique species of fanged wyverns, and they range in shape and size from Zinogre's canine and wyvern-infused design to giant reptiles to ultra-agile, hairless, mildly canine-looking beasts to fur-covered flying squirrel viper hybrids and a full-on demonic samurai tiger. See, this is why I harped on how cool it is when monster categories diverge and experiment within their own boundaries and dare to find out how certain parameters can be pushed and pulled during the Nargacuga and Tigrex entry. You get wildly creative and boundless new groups like the Fanged Wyverns, who can push and pull and manipulate concepts within the present parameters of being a Fanged Wyvern. And Zinogre is the forebearer of this super cool monster category. A category that, expansive as it is, still feels like it has a lot of unmined potential. There's a ton to say about Zinogre, and he's been given a whole lot of material to work with over the years. It's paid off. One could argue that he gets perhaps a smidge too much favoritism, and I can't say that's unfair, but damn it, there's a reason why he gets this attention. He is unusual and distinct even from the category of monster he created. He brings new tricks to every encounter. His personality is infectious, his variations are well conceived, and despite not getting the shine worldwide that he deserved in his first game, he has persistently kept on glowing ever since.